Are you ready for another meditation challenge?
How do we become better? A lot of the feedback I'm hearing is that it is challenging to focus on one spot. That it is, not as easy as it looks. And you're right. And that's why it works. Whenever we're faced with a challenge, whenever we are put to the test, whenever we are faced with adversity, whenever we are, putting in the work, we grow, we get stronger, we step up to the challenge, we expand, we become stronger, right? Life without adversity would be a very boring thing. And so this is why we, as modern humans, invest our time with things like working out and, going to the gym, for example, is a great time to challenge yourself, to put yourself up against the resistance and come out the victor. So, in meditation, it's important to know that we begin a certain way, but we should end another way. What do I mean by that? In the beginning, what we're doing is we're focusing on one point. This is known as the single-pointed mind concentration technique. Single-pointed. Single-pointed means that we bring our full attention into one point, one spot, one place. In this case, it's the heart chakra. Oh, it could be the third eye, it could be a mantra, it could be your breathing, whatever you're focusing on. In the beginning, it's very important that that thing that you're focusing on is the singular focus of your attention. It's the singular thing in your mind. All else is excluded. When we're capable of doing this, this is when we can alter, upgrade. This is when we can level up our mind, level up our perception. Normally, as you're quite aware, your mind is fragmented into many different thoughts, images, concerns, memories, all these great, wonderful things that occupy our time and attention, but they don't really give us any benefit. If your mind is scattered, if your mind is fragmented, if your mental chatter is just your constant experience, well, this is why we seek meditation, right? To find some sort of a solution. And the single-pointed mind practice, for me, has been that solution. The ability to focus our attention on one point, to the exclusion of all else, even forgetting about who and what you are for a moment, is really the trick. So how do we let go of ourselves? We are our biggest attachment. And by we, I mean ourselves as a perceiver. We think of ourselves as a body, and we're perceiving through our senses. We are most familiar with the five senses and our perceptual experiences that we have through the five senses. In meditation, we seek to move and go beyond the senses, because the senses are of the physical. And we want to become familiar with, explore, and move into these higher perceptual experiences, higher consciousness, we want to become free. We want to become liberated from the attachment of our attention. Our attention is just attached to its repetitious patterns of mind. Our attention is just used to a certain way of hanging out, of chilling. So, how do we wake up our attention? Well, we use our willpower. Our willpower is the key to bring our attention to one point and hold it there. Now I understand this can be a difficult process if it's new. Feeling the energy around the heart chakra can be a challenging task. But with time and practice, absolutely you will get better. There's no question, there's no doubt. Like anything in life. In the beginning it seems, what's going on? What am I doing here? And then all of a sudden something clicks. You just become familiar. And in this process of familiarity, we start to gain ground. We start to gain traction. And so the single-pointed mind technique is one of my favorites. You can use it on any chakra. But when we're focusing on the heart chakra, it's very normal for your mind to wander. Don't worry. My mind wanders. But over time, during the meditation session, after 5, 10, 15 minutes, you will begin to settle in. You'll begin to settle down. And so it's very important that beyond just focusing and concentrating on the single point, that simultaneously we're letting go of any sort of attachments that we have. And what do I mean by attachments? There's many different attachments. We could have an attachment to tension, and we don't even know about it. We may not be aware of all the tension that we're holding in our face, in our eyes, in our jaw, in our bodies, in our shoulders. These tension patterns are also habits. They're learned patterns that we carry with us. So it's no different than the thought patterns, where our body has its own patterns of holding itself. And so we're attempting to overcome even those attachments. And as we progress in a single meditation session, it's important to know that it's not just about concentration. Concentration will only bring you to a certain point. The concept behind concentration exercise is to stabilize our attention. It's the faster way. Many meditation teachers will discuss just sitting and observing the mind. And if you've ever attempted to do this, you'll see that yes, it is a viable method, but it's quite difficult to remain unattached unless you've performed some concentration exercises at the beginning to willfully bring our attention into a place where we want it to be and concentrate it there. But the concentration part will only get you so far. Its goal is to stabilize the attention. Imagine as if it's a pendulum swinging. And the swinging in this case is the swinging back and forth from the attachment to the thoughts, back to the place where we want it to be, back to the attachment, and it swings. But eventually it settles down. And it is much easier to hold still. As our body settles down, as our thoughts settle down, as our breathing settles down, we find it much easier to hold still and be still at the center, at our heart chakra. But that's only half the battle. The other part is perhaps even more important, and that's the part of surrender. Surrender is a letting go of control. Once we've stabilized our attention at the heart chakra point, once we can kind of feel it, we can let go a little bit. As we begin to let go and that feeling grows, there dawns this effortless attention, what I call effortless awareness. And the concept is simple. Awareness is already the core of who we are. So we don't have to do anything other than to get out of the way. And the part of ourself that's in the way is the thoughts and the attachments of our attention. So it's very important that as we are concentrating, we are simultaneously letting go of this attachment. Because what we'll find is that every time our mind wanders away from this point, our mind or our attention is moving towards some attachment that it has. Some familiar, repetitious pattern that it's used to frolicking in. Your attention is just used to these patterns. And we're doing what's called a pattern interrupt. We're interrupting the pattern by holding our mind at a place that it's perhaps not familiar with, not used to holding. And during this process, we're stabilizing our attention, we're becoming still. So it's important to simultaneously become still, gently and gracefully holding our concentration, holding our attention at that point. The more gentle and the more graceful you can be, the more you're letting go, to the point where it's effortless. So the whole point here is I want you to realize that it's a transitional process, this meditation. It's not just about concentrating. That's just the beginning. That's just a way to interrupt the pattern. But there's also the simultaneous letting go, simultaneous surrender, surrendering of tension, surrendering of attachment to the bodily form, surrendering of the familiar. And what we do at that point is we're diving into water. It's like when you dive headfirst into water, at a certain point you let go and you trust that the water will take you. The water will, suspend you. The water will prevent you from hitting the bottom of the pool or wherever you're diving into. So you're diving into the water here of the heart chakra. At a certain point, your attention, it's like, okay, I've stabilized my mind there. I'm feeling the heart chakra. Then what do I do? Well, let's get to that point first. But what you do then, for those of you who are at that point, is you go deeper into the feeling. The feeling has become center attention of the mind at that point. It's the star. It's the center stage. Nothing else is really disrupting that. The center of attention. Instead of being a person with focusing on a heart chakra, instead of being a head or a face that we kind of see ourselves as we're sitting here meditating in, become the heart chakra. We become absorbed into the feeling. And this, of course, takes a little bit of trust and faith. It's a complete letting go of the familiar. It's a complete letting go of the self that we're used to. It's the complete letting go of the familiarity. And this can be a little scary at first. But this is where you have to have faith in whatever you want to call the universe, and faith in spirit, faith in God, or whatever you want to call it, that you're going to be okay. When you go to bed at night, you have faith that you're going to wake up. It's no different. So there is what is change? What is transformation? In order to transform, we have to let go of the old and be reborn. So it's like a shedding of the skin. It's a dying of the old self and a rebirth of the new. And we must trust and have faith that the universe, or whatever you call it, has our back. It's going to take care of things. When you come back into your physical senses after the meditation, and you look around and everything is new. You're new. The room seems new. Perhaps you have a new perception of life. Each and every time we do this, it's a process of transformation. This is why it's so important to meditate every day. Because we can be on a path of transformation, we can be on a path of stagnation, or we can even be on a path of decline. And so, I don't know, choose your path, whatever you want to do. But personally, I'd like to be on a path of transformation. So here we go. You guys ready? Let's do this. So today, we're meditating now for 25 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, we're kind of focusing on the breathing, just settling down. And then after that first 5-minute period, you'll hear a bell. I'll prompt you. And then we're going to go into the Heart Chakra portion of the meditation. Now, all of this preamble, all of this instruction here is designed to help you with that moment. That moment that we're focused on the Heart Chakra. It may take 5 or 10 minutes of focusing on the Heart Chakra just to begin to feel anything. And you know what? If you don't feel anything, even by the end of it, that's okay. It's completely normal. Realize that you're attempting to do something that is not common. We're attempting to regain a faculty of ourselves that has been long lost, that has been foregone, that's been forgotten. There's a part of ourselves that's very deep, and to get to that place, we need to regain our ability to feel energy, to feel beyond the senses. And this feeling ability is akin to our intuition. It's akin to our psychic ability. And it's another part of ourselves, this ability to feel. Yes. So, let's get to feeling, shall we? And, if it's helpful, just remember, you can keep your fingertips here just to keep your attention on target. You can keep your fingertips here the entire time if you want. If you're having trouble honing in and zeroing in and targeting this area with your attention and keeping it there, feel free to put the fingertips there anytime to regain that focus, regain that area with your attention. And then when you're ready, you can bring the hand down and relax. Now, real brief note on hand position. You can either just put your hands palm down on your thighs if you're sitting in a chair like me, or if you're sitting on the floor cross-legged or on a stool or a cushion. You can put your palms down. You can put your palms, one palm on another, thumbs touching in your lap, relaxed down like this. You can sometimes, I like to cross my hands and put them down here. And this position for me sometimes helps me to center, because we're dealing with the center line. We're trying to feel our center. And sometimes we might feel like a little off, or like we're leaning or something weird. Just ignore that. Because when we close our eyes, we're dealing with another perception. We're dealing with another perception ability. So sometimes when we center our hands and put them in the center, sometimes it helps to kind of center our attention. Another popular mudra is just touching the fingers like this. And you can either place palms down or palms up. You guys can see that, okay? So whatever you're comfortable with, it's totally fine, okay? So let's get started. First, I'd like to do 10 deep wave breaths. The wave breath is a way to energize and wake up. It's very important to have a certain amount of energy when you meditate. So let's do this. Okay, so we're going to breathe in the nose and out the mouth. Breathing into the belly, then the chest, and then into the head in one wave. It looks a little something like this. So let's try 10 of those. Ready? Here we go. Exhale all the breath first. Inhale, nose, exhale, mouth. One. Two. Three. We want to stretch our lungs. 4. 5. 6. 8. 9. And 10. Swallow your saliva. Now we're going to begin breathing in the nose and out the nose into the belly, doing diaphragmatic breathing in our meditative breath. Place your hand on your belly so you can feel the rise and fall. Now we're going to begin our timer. 25 minutes on the clock. You can go ahead and close your eyes. Continue breathing. You can relax your hands in whatever position you feel. For the first 5 minutes or so, we're just settling down. We're just relaxing, keeping a good posture, relaxing any tension we feel in our eyes, in our jaw, in our face. We're allowing our breath to settle down. Now I'd like you to place the fingertips in the center of the chest at the heart chakra. Continue to breathe in the nose, out the nose. Now I'd like you to breathe in and out of your heart chakra. Imagine as if your heart chakra area, the place where you're touching, imagine that is your nose, breathing in and out the air at that spot. If you're ready, you can relax your hand and continue to breathe in and out of the heart chakra area. Imagine a flow, a steady stream of air, cool air coming in, and on the exhale coming out of the heart chakra. As you continue to breathe, your breath becomes more and more calm, more subtle, more graceful. More relaxed. Relax any tension you might feel around the heart chakra area, physically and emotionally, energetically, letting go of any tension. Now let go of your breath. Allow your body to just breathe naturally on its own. Feel free to take a deep breath at any time. Feel free to return to feeling the breath coming in and out of the heart chakra. But at this point, become very still. Hold your attention on feeling the heart chakra. If it's helpful, you can place the fingertips there to feel the spot. But bring your full attention, the full you, to the center of the chest. Forget about everything else. When you begin to feel something, lock on to that feeling. If your attention wanders, just bring it right back to that feeling. And as we begin to stabilize our attention at the heart center. It's normal for the mind to wander. Just keep correcting your attention back to the heart chakra. Become very interested in your heart chakra. Read it like an energy reading. Now let go of all effort and just rest. Rest at your heart chakra. Enter into being. Let go. Pretty quiet in here. Very nice. Very good. You know, I try not to give too much talk, too much verbal instruction during the meditation because I just want to guide you slightly and then you'll find your own way. Because there's a greater intelligence in all of us that we're tapping into, and it's beyond all of us. And it knows what to do. It knows when it's hitting the right spot. So, this is why at a certain point there's really no instruction that can help you. You just kind of have to experience it for yourself. What more needs to be said? I mean, we're dealing with the habits of mind that can go back a long time, as you've noticed. They can creep up just when you're starting to feel it and your attention wanders, and then I'm back. And then I don't feel it anymore. What happened? What? Okay. So every time you overcome these little challenges within your meditation, you learn. You learn how to deal with it. You learn through your own way how to deal with it. And I think it's important to allow for each one of us to kind of learn what our way is. You know, as a meditation teacher, I can only give you so much pointers, so much guidance, and at a certain point you're on your own. So, whether you found that ecstatically blissful and perfectly still, or you were sitting there trying to fight with your tendencies of mind, you know, we're all in there with you. We're all in that spectrum somewhere. And the key is, as I say many times here, is not to judge. Don't judge your meditation, whether it was good or bad, whether you couldn't get still or not. The important thing is that you tried, that you did the workout. You did it your best. And as long as you keep doing your best, you'll get better. You'll get better and you'll progress. Oh, hey Van, glad you could join us. So, anyway, trying to think if there's anything more that I can add to that, but I think that pretty much covers it. Is there any questions? Any questions? Any experiences? I mean, you know, like I said, at a certain point, it's just a matter of doing it every day until you feel that you kind of know what we're doing. And it doesn't take long. And I think at a certain point, it's okay. One of the things I remember that I wanted to say is it's almost as if you're using your peripheral vision. You ever you know what peripheral vision is? Is when you're looking directly at something, but you can see the things out of the side of your eyes. You know, like I can see the lamp over here, but I'm not looking at it, right? And it's almost as if you're using your peripheral feeling. Meaning, sometimes if we try to hold our feeling right here the whole time, it's almost like it gets numb, if that makes any sense. And if this doesn't make any sense right now, you'll figure this out eventually. it's almost as if you want to kind of relax your attention and not focus so hard as we progress. And we're using our peripheral feeling, and then all of a sudden, boing, it'll pop up again. And then you'll, oh so subtly and gracefully, you don't want to disturb it. You'll just feel it. We become more and more subtle. We refine our attention into thinner and more subtle energy. This is the higher frequency. And as we become familiar with that subtle and higher frequency, this is when the effortlessness begins to take place. Is that we don't have to hold it so hard. And even now that I'm after the meditation and I'm not focusing on the heart chakra, this is now I start to feel it. You notice that? And this is sort of like the peripheral, like you can maybe kind of do two things at once. Anyway, I don't want to bog you down with too much stuff. A couple questions coming up. Elena says, visualize to actualize. Yes! Except the fact that we don't want to visualize anything during the meditation. And what you'll find is that you might be visualizing, but visualizing is not feeling. Visualizing is a part of the thinking. When we're imagining a thought, you don't need to visualize anything. Now in the beginning, if it's helpful to kind of, this is why we put our fingers here, is to kind of bring our attention to a certain spot. But there's no need to visualize a certain color. There's no need to visualize a certain light or whatever. I mean, you can try that if you want. You know, in meditation, we're like scientists. You're performing science experiments on yourself. And only through experimentation, trial and error, do we find what works for us. But I think if you are attempting to visualize something at the beginning, that's okay. But as we progress, you want to move away from visualizing. You want to move away from having your attention be anywhere else except feeling. Because it's within feeling that we're tapping into a deeper part of ourselves. It's beyond visualization. Visualization is part of our thoughts. It's part of our imagination. And it's an important skill to have. Absolutely. And we can visualize to actualize, but we don't need to because it's already there. So what we're attempting to do is to be very patient. We're holding our feeling here. And even if we don't feel anything, we're being patient. And through our patience and also through our non-expectation, it's very important to not expect anything. When we're in a state of expectation, we're expecting to feel something. This is a seeking mentality. We want to try to eliminate that. Instead of seeking, we want to surrender. And through the process of surrender, we're letting go of these tendencies to seek, these tendencies to want to visualize, to actualize, these tendencies to desire an outcome. So what happens is that when we get rid of desire, we just be. And this is why I said sort of towards the end is just rest. Rest. Within rest, there's no doing. You're just, once you've settled in and you feel something, just rest in that spot. And it's through the rest that we've let go of all trying. We've let go of all doing. And we enter into that effortless state of being. And we're beginning to meditate. It's a slow process. We have to be patient. It's like holding a vigil, where we're resting right here. No expectation, faith, trust. It's there. It'll happen when the time comes. And you know the funny thing is that it happens almost when we look away for a moment. And then we feel it. And then we're going, oh yeah. And then we subtly just rest effortlessly on that feeling. And that's when we begin to explore the subtle realms of ourself, because we're so familiar with the gross self, the body, the senses. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, it's okay. You know, like I said, this is an experiment. We're all experimenters. We're scientists in a way. The science of self-discovery. You have to try, you have to... And it's good. It's good that you try different things. And hopefully all I can be, best I can be, is just a guide and offer my advice and experience to try to help you find your own way through this process. And that's really what it's all about. Eventually you'll find your own trick that allows you to be still and allows you to rest and allows you to let go. You know, I can only give you pointers. Okay, so Thandy says, I'm learning. I feel like I'm holding on to my old self. Yes, absolutely. This old stubborn self just keeps coming up, doesn't it? Totally normal. Part of the process. You will discover these things when you attempt to discipline your attention. That old self just keeps wanting to creep back in. I mean, you'll hear that song that you haven't heard in years creep in. Like, gosh, was that always there going on? Or another popular one that happens to me all the time is, again, I notice these forms, these perceptual molds creep up, and I'll be looking through my eyes. I mean, as soon as you begin to try to hold your mind here, your mind wants to go somewhere else. This is why success in meditation doesn't come overnight for most people. I think there's an analogy in the Upanishads, one of the ancient Indian Vedic books, the Upanishads, of, you know, attempting to still the mind is like attempting to control 100 horses with reins. Your mind just wants to go. It just wants to move. It's all these are tendencies. These are simply habits that we've allowed to happen for our entire lives. And now that we're attempting to discipline the mind is like, yeah, watch this. Let me bring up all these crazy old memories. As soon as you start to feel something good, oh, your mind is distracted by the sound of the neighbor using his leaf blower or whatever it might be. It's okay. It's okay, you know? Sometimes we can try different things, and this is why I'm recommending things like meditating in the morning at 4 a.m. is what a lot of meditators do. Why? Because it's quiet. The world is quiet. Remember, the mind, your mind, is very psychic, it's very sensitive. It picks up on all the frequencies and all the vibrations in your environment, in your surrounding radius. And as you become more sensitive through meditation, you become more psychic. You feel more, but your concentration is also getting better. And therefore you're able to just ignore those distractions and ignore those thoughts with greater and greater clarity as you get better. So thank you, my friends. It's been a good one, and you guys are doing great. I love to see all the feedback and the commitment here in the group. It's been great, and keep up the good work. We'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Take care.